have been in the dark times of Warhammer. Value for money is low, increasingly hobbyists have been priced out of Warhammer itself, and the games have been suffering from a bloated and imbalanced rule set for the longest time. But here it is, the answer to our prayers. Horus Heresy. A new edition, a new box set that Games Workshop say will cost less than $300.
He's amazing, who is he?
Is he Christ?
And there's a lot of plastic in there. It's probably the best value box set in a year. Seemingly, things are golden for Horus Heresy and Warhammer fans. But... oh, and it kills me to throw a but in there. I'm not convinced that things are getting better. In fact, there's a lot of decisions being made right now by Games Workshop for Horus Heresy that are currently being billed as good for consumers that I think are actively bad. In other words, they're a lot worse than people think. Well, here she goes again, but let's look at this, okay? Let's look at the starter set for Horus Heresy, because it's this starter box that has everybody's heart aflutter. It seems like this is the first starter box released at a reasonable-ish price point for what you get inside the box for the first time in forever. This box feels like it presents a lot of value, but let's not be coy here. Remember, that is this box doing its job. The best compliment that I can pay to the Horus Heresy starter box is that it's functional. And the same isn't true of many recent Games Workshop box releases. If we look at a box like Ash Wastes, on the face of it, hobbyists could tell this is terrible value for money. It didn't pass the sniff test, but the Horus Heresy starter box does. There were originally fears when this box was first leaked that it would cost up to $300, $400, $500. It just seemed like any box set coming from Games Workshop that has more than 20 miniatures inside it was gonna have a cost comparable to that of a Lamborghini. Games Workshop, the sports car of miniatures. Except you gotta build it yourself. Imagine everyone's surprise then when Games Workshop revealed at Warhammer Fest that this box set is going to come no more than $300 or £200. This is good. This was lower than people were concerned it would be. I mean, for some reason, they also didn't just tell us the price. I mean, that would have been nice too, but sure. So long as they're not pushing 300, 200. And the community has reacted to this, mostly with shock, surprise, and adulation. People are really happy that this isn't going to cost an arm and a leg. Just a leg. So let's quickly break this box down. I expect this box will cost probably $300 and £180 to £200. I don't think it's going to be any lower than that. Otherwise, they would have just said as much. So here's what you get inside. You get 4 10-man squads of Mark 6 Space Marines. Each one of those is coming out at about £35 each. So that's £140. Then you get 2 Legion Praetors at £25 each. That's about 50 quid altogether then. Then you get 2 5-man squads of Terminators. They're oldie Terminators. And they are £40 each. And so you're going to get 80 quid there. And then you're going to have a Contemptor Dreadnought for £40, a Spartan Tank for £80, and finally the Horus Heresy Core Rules Book for £42.50, aka valueless. Seriously, every other starter box just throws that in. So that makes a total of £432.50. So if this comes out at around £190, then that means that you're going to be saving about 55% of having bought them all separately. Not bad, certainly not bad. But it is still a lot of money on a new system. £190, $300. It's a crazy amount of money to just drop on a game, regardless of how many miniatures are inside. We are a far cry from the much more accessible pricing of, say, a box like Dark Imperium, which came out at around £90. And even that was a little pricey as a starter, as an intro box for new players. And now we're just at double the price, no questions asked. So the box is too pricey for me. I would have much preferred to have seen a smaller box price, but Games Workshop want people to invest a lot of money in the system, in the game, because they want you to feel invested in it, and therefore want to buy more, because you couldn't give up on it. You've already put so much money in. And whether or not you build these models, paint them, or even play with them is sort of irrelevant, though that's always been the way with Warhammer. And additionally, we have to remember that any value that this box presents only does so in the wonderland that is Games Workshop's pricing model. See, none of these models are really worth what we pay for them. So the value of this box is mostly ephemeral. It can't hurt you unless you believe in it, and I don't. I'm sorry, but I've been exposed to far too many other war games that sell similar quality models at much cheaper prices. It's hard to go back to Games Workshop when you know they could be so much cheaper. I can't unknow the things that I know. So I can't buy in to the same extent that this box presents value, because the constituent parts are just so overpriced. And this box is an upsell, of course. It's doing its job of convincing hobbyists to buy more than they otherwise would. But, and it is important to remember this anytime that you are even potentially tempted by one of these big bundle boxes, you are not saving money if you buy a bundle that contains models that you otherwise wouldn't have bought. Box sets are designed to feel like good value. And in a world where the Black Templar army box set was sold as having value, then yes, 100%, the Horus Heresy starter set comes with a lot of value. But let me explain the deep, dark, sultry secret of the Horus Heresy starter box. It is designed to hook new players, some of them even perhaps from 40k. And Games Workshop are open about this in their marketing to retailers. They have products that are for newcomers to the hobby, and they have products for people that are committed hobbyists. Basically fans, collectors, compulsive spenders, me, etc, etc, etc. The people who are really truly invested in the hobby. And a box like the Black Templars box wasn't for newcomers, it was for the committed hobbyists like myself. It had zero value but a collector's edition codex. So that's for people who are already invested. It's not for people who are looking to get into the game. And this Horus Heresy box? Baby, this is just the first hit. So it needs to sell itself on value in order to get people inside the door. And this isn't bad in a vacuum. Of course, we want there to be accessible entrance points for new people. But I feel like this starter box has been missold a little in the community. In fact, I think that the community at large, especially the 40k community, don't quite appreciate what is actually inside this box. You see, I was shocked to learn that this box is not a full 30k army. It's not. And I think that the vast majority of people who are used to the size and scale of Warhammer 40k have probably looked at this box and thought, yeah, this is everything I need. I can be a little bit cheeky, keep the entire box for myself, paint them all the same color, and I got a full army for Horus Heresy. Haha, foolish Games Workshop, I've pulled a trick on you. But no, you're not pulling a trick on Games Workshop, they're pulling a trick on you. Which, if Better Call Saul has taught me anything, is the best way to con somebody. You see, in Horus Heresy, the armies are much, much bigger. Remember, Horus Heresy was a committed hobbyist style system not too long ago. It's only becoming more accessible now. And what are committed hobbyists expected to do? Why, pay lots and lots of money for massive, massive armies to be committed to the system. And Horus Heresy is no different. This army that comes in this starter box, even if you have everything, you take everything from the box, you paint it all the one color, and you use it as a single army, it only comes to around 40% of what you're going to need. So I've seen it estimated that in order to sort of finish off your army, you're probably gonna need to buy about 300 quid's worth of stuff. Call it $500. I mean, that's not the actual exchange rate, but when does that ever matter to the Games Workshop? Or another 2 boxes. So when viewed in that light, when viewed in that context, a price tag of $300, it doesn't look so good, does it? But, well, I hear you call out, I hear you cry in defense. At least Horus Heresy isn't Warhammer 40k. It doesn't have the huge amount of armies, the bloated rules, the endless supplements. It is elegant, and it has a whippy stick. which personally I'm really happy about because I use them as hairpins. And I've seen a lot of hobbyists who are fed up and sick of a lot of the problems in Warhammer 40k talk about migrating to Horus Heresy. There's excitement for a new system, and Games Workshop have been really clever. They've monetized the people who are sick of 40k. But I don't think that Horus Heresy is going to be the breath of fresh air that many think it is. Sure, the starter set's going to come with the rulebook that you need. And yeah, there's no codices, there's no supplements, sure. There's 2 massive army books. One for loyalists, one for heretics. But they're not codices, and though they're big, they're no larger than it would be like releasing all of the codices at once. So whatever, that's fine. But you gotta remember, we are at the beginning of the cycle here. We know Games Workshop, we know what they're about. We know what their business model is. Artificial scarcity, collectability, and ever-increasing prices. Oh, and of course releasing products that no one needs or asked for. Or things that maybe should have been free in the first place. And that takes a little bit of time to get going. It's a steamroller, it needs to get warmed up. We're being lured in by the siren call of a value starter set right now. But then what happens? Well, Games Workshop have told us, let me quote them. These tomes are just the beginning. Oh boy, I can't wait for more books and supplements. This is what happened to Warhammer 40k in 8th edition, and it will likely happen again here. I don't trust Games Workshop not to immediately begin bloating out this system with endless supplements, endless books. And I have to stress, no other wargame company, board game company, modeling company have rulebooks, supplements, codices as such a pivotal moneymaker as Games Workshop. Books seem to be more core to the Games Workshop business model than they are to George R. Martin. Seemingly, the vast majority of other hobby companies survive by giving away their rules for free. But Horus Heresy will be operating on the live service model, and this extends to far more than mere books. Games Workshop have revealed that the special weapons will get sold separately from that of the models. According to a lot of commentators to the general community, this is good. Great, even. Why, this simply presents player choice. You can pick whatever special weapons you want without having to buy any duplicates. And while in principle I agree with that, in practice it's not the case. And it has never worked that way in the past. Look at Storm Guardians, Zangors, and the 40k upgrade sprues. $15 for half a squad's worth of upgrades. This model always ends up costing more to the consumer than simply having the upgrades bundled in the box. And yeah, sure, in the previous style that was pioneered by Games Workshop, where you just didn't get enough upgrades to legally customize your models, so you had to buy multiple packs of the same model just for the special weapons and ended up with a bunch of duplicates. Yeah, that sucked. And still does. It's still the case. But that was a problem the Games Workshop made. Now they're selling the solution to their problem that they made. And this solution isn't good either. There is a consumer-friendly alternative to both of these styles. It's actually really simple. It's called put all the options for the model in the box with the model. And this isn't some unreasonable request. It's really cheap to do this. Cardstock right now is more expensive than miniatures. I'm sure they can throw in a couple of extra sprues. Companies like Asmodee, who themselves are pretty big penny pinchers, already do this with systems like Star Wars Legion. You get extra models with the special weapons so that you can even pick and choose whether or not to include which one. You don't have to magnetize things. But selling them separately allows Games Workshop to sell another product. Presumably, I'm gonna guess at a pretty high price. And certainly, they're still making hobbyists buy redundant plastic. They're selling these upgrade sprues in massive batches. One of them has 60 weapons, 10 of each kind, which means that you're going to inevitably overbuy. You're gonna end up with weapons that you don't want or need. And yes, full special weapon squads in Horus Heresy tend to come in squads of 10 men. So each box allows you therefore to build one squad of the special weapon that you want, so long as you also buy the squad. And this is all being billed as an optional purchase. But it's not really, and it will likely be making Games Workshop a lot of money. It's like when you go to the restaurant and they charge you for the sides. It's just all DLC, baby. But hey, Horus Heresy at this stage basically seems to be the system designed to get hobbyists to buy too much. Space Marines are being bundled in squads of 20. People are like, yay! I'm like, why? Why is this good? Surely we want boxes to be smaller and cheaper, right? To give hobbyists the maximum amount of control over how many models they buy. Bigger boxes are worse for consumers, because we end up buying more than we otherwise would. But boy, the marketing all this has been incredibly effective. People are very excited to play a good version of Warhammer for the first time in years. And I'll be honest, looking at Horus Heresy, I'm nervous. I have this intense sense of dread. Because while the rules of Horus Heresy may be based on the 7th edition of Warhammer, the business model is exactly the same. In 2 or 3 years' time, I suspect that Horus Heresy is going to look exactly the same as the way Warhammer 40k looks today. Nothing but Space Marines. But also a live service platform that has continual releases designed to keep hobbyists dipping constantly into their purse, so that they can then pay for collectible models that are artificially scarce. You know, unless Horus Heresy is simply forgotten about by Games Workshop, like Lord of the Rings. Please don't notice Lord of the Rings. Please don't notice it, Games Workshop. One of the best things that has ever happened to Lord of the Rings is that it isn't profitable much anymore, so it just doesn't get the same attention. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But I'm just going off what Games Workshop have already told us, and what they have already revealed, and what they have done in the past, and no other commentators are really talking about this as far as I'm aware. So spare a thought, I guess, for the existing fans of Horus Heresy, because they're about to experience the joy that is being in the spotlight as a Games Workshop product. Oh boy. So yeah, by all means, be excited, and I certainly applaud any moves in the right direction from Games Workshop. But I just hope that everybody knows what they're in for here. I'll believe that Games Workshop have changed when they've demonstrated it. But hey, at least this starter box isn't just a couple of models, a few bikes, and a small Ewok village for $300, right? Because yeah, that's normally what Games Workshop are pushing for 300 bucks these days. Their new normal is insane, so check out my video talking about that. And just on a personal note, I want to thank everybody who has subscribed to the channel or who supports the channel on Patreon. It has really meant a lot to me. Over the last couple of days, I've been getting a lot of very nasty, mean messages, so your support has meant a lot to me. It's been a rough couple of days, and as always, a huge thank you to Steven Jackson and Earthwormia, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye!